All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming in today for the Career Development Network using LinkedIn to boost your career. I'm just going to do a quick overview of what we offer here at NCBiotech and the Career Development Network, or CDN, and then we'll hand it off to our speaker. So here is the Career Center. This is the page where you can log on and you can receive email alerts for company hires, have your profile. Our Career Center is unique because it focuses on companies in the life science within North Carolina. So you can definitely use this as a resource for you. We also have the NCBiotech company directory. It has over, 840 life sciences companies. So we like to make sure that you can research, you can use it to find those target companies that you're looking for. So feel free to also use this as a resource too during your job search. We have over 25 exchange groups that have been going strong. So they all have different aspects that they're looking into. We have Women in Bio, RNA Society. So feel free to check out those different exchange groups that we have. You can also join our LinkedIn community if you haven't done so already. We have 3,000 members that include students, job seekers, and instructors. The QR code is here, and this provides you with access to keep in touch with all the events that we have going on as well. And then we have our newsletter of The Dish. It is our biweekly newsletter, and it reaches over 900 people and partners. A lot of this is geared to entry-level jobs and different training opportunities, but we also welcome for you to sign up if this is something that interests you, to sign up for The Dish. You can also check out our careers and training site. This will give you an opportunity to learn about the jobs in life sciences and different training opportunities and networking opportunities. So this is great to add to your repertoire as well when you're trying to make different connections here. So feel free to use it. And then the website is listed here as well. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Gail McCowan, and she is a career coach and job search instructor. She is a career coach and educator who combines over a decade of career advising and training with a background as an engineer and human resource generalist to offer clients and students straightforward, step-by-step strategies for advancing their careers. She is a certified career services provider through the NCDA and has experience with clients from a wide range of backgrounds and industries. In addition, Gail is a career coach and instructor at Wake Tech Community College, working with students and community members on career exploration and job-seeking techniques such as LinkedIn, resumes, and interviewing. She holds an MBA from the Keenan Flagler Business School at UNC Chapel Hill and a BS degree from Northwestern University, and she can be reached on her LinkedIn profile as well. So thank you so much for your time. Feel free to come on up.
All right, thank you very much. All right, hello everyone, and hello to all of those on the Zoom as well. Very happy to be here with you guys today to talk a little bit about LinkedIn. And so first of all, I've got a question for you. And I've got some options. Which option best describes your current LinkedIn presence, right? And so I'm going to put them all up here and then we can do a show of hands here live and those on the chat if you want to chime in. So first of all, we have the ghost, right? Got a LinkedIn profile, few words, haven't logged in I don't know how long. The time capsule, updated it several years ago, haven't really looked back since. Got the resume dumper, copied, pasted my resume, called it a day. And lastly, the Polish Pro. Everything's updated, doing the right things, engaging with comments and posts. All right, so show of hands, how many ghosts do we have? We got, okay, at least a couple, all right. And let me know, I don't know who's looking online, let me know what people are saying too. The time capsule, we got any time capsule folks here or online? Oh, none of those, all right. How about the resume dumper? couple of those, right? A few more resume adopters. And what about Polish Pros? Okay. Oh, we got a lot of those. Excellent. Well, you guys.
Looks like we have some online as well.
Yeah,
Polished.
that was the most online. Okay, awesome, awesome. Well, a lot of what I might be telling you today then is probably going to resonate. You might be like, yeah, I'm already doing that. And hopefully there's a few, extra tips and things that I can share as well. But that's awesome to hear that you guys are taking LinkedIn seriously, or at least a lot of you are already. So why is it important to talk about LinkedIn? And again, this is probably nothing that you don't already know if you are in an active job search or have been recently, right? One of the reasons we have this dreaded black hole that people talk about, right? With when we apply online, the average success rate only about 3%, right? The odds are not in our favor. If all we are doing is going to job postings, filling them, those applications out, and sending up a little good vibes or prayer, right, that something's going to happen there, not going to cut it. And especially in the job market that we are in today, this has gotten even, I think, worse, because there are even more people applying to every job. So even folks that are extremely qualified are not getting viewed because there's just such a volume. So anything that we can do to help us be in that 3%, and what that really comes down to is networking. Now, there was a question done about referrals here, and this was from a company called JobScan. They did last year a big state of the job search report. And one of the questions that they asked recruiters was, how important are referrals? And between very important and extremely important, 69% said one of those two options. So any chance that we have to get any kind of referral, any information about the company, about the role, and this doesn't have to be someone that's going to say, yeah, you should hire Gail. I know her really well. And it doesn't have to be to that extent, right? Maybe it's just someone you can talk to learn more about the company and the role and make sure that your resume has the right things on it. Maybe it's just someone that says, hey, I ran into this person and I think they may have some good experience. You should look at their resume, right? They may not know you very well, but they still might pass your resume on, right? Or pass your name on. This is what we're looking for, okay? And LinkedIn is a big part of how we can do that. It's not the only way, right? And participating in groups like this is amazing, because this is, groups like this are another, of course, excellent way to network. Any way that you can be putting yourself out there, whether it's in person or virtually putting yourself out there, to be with people, talking to people, learning about roles, learning about companies, you should be doing that, right? LinkedIn is one part of that. So what do we want to do? Our agenda today, we're going to talk about 3 steps. We're going to talk about your profile, we're going to talk about connecting, and we're going to talk about having presence, right? And I tried to think of a really cool word besides connect for that started with a P, so I could have some nice alliteration. Couldn't come up with one yet. If anyone has any ideas for me, let me know. All right, so profile, connect, presence, we're going to talk about today. First of all, your profile. And I'm going to go through a bunch of information here, actually, for all 3 of these steps. I really want to hear your questions, so please make note of them. We're going to have questions at the end, and I hope that you guys have a lot of them. So don't hold back when we get to that point, all right? First thing I want to talk about here is a couple of important steps before we write anything on our LinkedIn profile. And this is actually true of our resume as well. The first step is we need to know our audience. We need to know who we're talking to, who we're trying to reach. And those people we're trying to reach, we need to understand what their problems are. What are they looking for in someone that they want to hire? What do they need that person to do? What problems does that person need to solve? What skills are they looking for? If we don't understand this, we don't know what to put on our LinkedIn profile, right? Or our resume. So it's really important to know this audience. And then, of course, once we understand that audience, we're going to target our profile, also target your resume. We're going to make sure that our profile is consistently proving that we can fill these needs that we know that they have, right? So when someone looks at my profile, right, does it show the things that they're looking for? and show them quickly, right? This is what you should be asking yourself and asking other people. Hey, can you look at my profile? Tell me what do you see when you first look at my profile, right? What stands out to you? It's a really great question. Ask your friends, your family members, coworkers or former coworkers, get their thoughts on it. Someone that doesn't normally look at your profile. And lastly, oops, I skipped over that last point. Do I show that I can add value? Again, goes along with proving you can do the job, right? So these are things that we need to be making sure as we're targeting our profile. So once we understand these things, I know how I'm going to target myself. Then I can start to think about writing my profile. And one important strategy to keep in mind so that we can communicate or prove that we can do the job are accomplishments. So I challenge you to always be thinking in terms of accomplishments, or another great word to think of is impact. What's the impact that I had in these jobs that I'm talking about, or in my education that I am talking about? How can I prove that what I've done in these past jobs and the accomplishments that I have, that I'm going to be able to replicate those and have impact in my next role, right? This is going to be really helpful, because this whole nebulous, like, how do you prove that you can do a job, right? You prove it by proving that you've done it before, right? And so focus on those accomplishments, focus on that impact. So it's not just what you did, but it's what happened because you did it, right? Another way to think of it is, what's the so what about it, right? You think about the task you did on your job. Well, so what, right? You did it, great. What happened? How did that make the business better? How did it make life better for the customers, for coworkers, for clients, whoever it was that you were supporting in your role? Okay, so there are several important profile sections that you need to make sure that you are paying a lot of attention to. I'm going to focus on just a couple of them today, because of course we've got just a few minutes here overall. But your pictures, and there are two pictures you need to pay attention to. Of course, your profile photo. You need to have a photo, absolutely. Of course, we're going to make sure it's professional, all the good things, but also your background photo. Sometimes it's called the cover photo or banner, right? That goes across the top of your profile. Get rid of that generic LinkedIn blob and customize that, okay? When you don't have that, it makes your profile look incomplete. And it also is just a chance to show a little personality. So make sure that you are customizing that. You absolutely want to pay attention to your headline, and I'm going to talk more in detail about that here in a minute. Your about section, I'm also going to talk about that. And the work experience, we'll talk briefly about that as well. Those are three really critical parts of your profile. But also the skills section. The skills section is basically one big list of keywords that recruiters, that hiring managers may be searching for. And we really need to pay attention that we have the right skills on our profile. Of course, we're going to have our complete education there. And if applicable, any licenses or certifications. And I also encourage you to get recommendations. And especially if you're in a job search, this is really good to have, because it's not just you saying things about yourself, it's other people saying things about you. And of course, that's something that's really important. So at least have a few recommendations on your profile. Reach out to people, see if you can get some folks to help you out with that. So let's talk a little bit more in detail about a couple of those sections that I mentioned. So first, we're going to talk a little more in detail about the headline. So the headline, of course, on LinkedIn, it's what comes right underneath your name. You have 220 characters to work with here. And it is a really important piece of real estate on your profile. It travels with you everywhere. Pretty much, if anyone does a search and you pop up in that search, they see the beginning part of your headline, as well as, of course, the small version of your picture. If you comment or even like a post and people look at who's liked it, or you look at the comments, right? Again, part of your profile, your picture, it's everywhere. So we need to pay attention to that, right? And Crystal mentioned, I started off my career as an engineer. So I always say that I still like some formulas here. So I have to figure out how to work formulas even to talking about LinkedIn, right? So I've got a 3-part formula that I think makes up a good headline. The first part of it is the job title or your target job. And if there's anyone in the audience who is switching careers, This should be the job title that you are looking for, not the title you've held. Even if you've never held that title before, this is the title you want people to hire you for now, right? Or if you're coming out of school, perhaps, the title that you want to get now. After that job title or target job, you're going to have some keywords, key skills, knowledge, maybe degree or certification, depending on your situation, but a couple of those. And then lastly, we're going to have what I call a branding tagline. Sometimes a key accomplishment can work here too, if you've got like just something really outstanding that you want to share. Most people have kind of this version of a branding tagline. And what a branding tagline is, it's basically a very short way of telling people how you add value, how you help, right? And so I've got a couple of examples here. So I've got the bioprocess engineer, and I've got a couple of keywords there with the facility design, and then the ATMP, and then that branding tagline, the value-added facility design for cell and gene therapy. And you'll notice that in that branding tagline, I'm also including some keywords there, right? That cell and gene therapy might be a key phrase as well. And then here's another one from a PhD perspective, right? Got a couple of keywords there with the virology and the GMP, right? But then the cross-functional collaboration to bring new products to market. And lastly, the microbiology scientist, right? With the sterility testing, genetic identification, driving results through complex analysis testing, right? So 3 key components that we want to pay attention to. Use those 220 characters, use that real estate for your headline. Now, the next section that I want to spend just a little bit of time talking about is the about section. And a couple of tips for this about section. Again, really important part of your profile. It is a little bit similar to a summary section on your resume. However, it should not sound like a resume. This is where we don't want to be that resume dumper, where we're just copying and pasting our summary from our resume into our about section on LinkedIn. That can be a great place to start, but we need to change it up for LinkedIn. And the first point here is one of the big ways we need to change it up. It needs to be personable, but of course, professional. We can use first person on LinkedIn, and we should. I led, I did this, right? We don't use any pronouns on our resume. We never say I. It's implied on a resume, which makes resumes sound kind of strange and grammatically incorrect. But on LinkedIn, we should sound like a human, and we should sound more conversational. Short paragraphs, people are skimming these things. We don't want any huge blocks of text ever. So short paragraphs, maybe some bullet points. You want to include, again, how you add value with those keywords. This is another, you're basically going to take some of those things you talked about in your headline, expand on them. We're not going to be repeating the headline, but we can certainly elaborate a lot more, bring in some other key skills, keywords there too. And we want to end with a call to action. And if you're not familiar with that term, it's a marketing term that basically says at the end of something, you're asking the reader to do something. And with LinkedIn, a lot of the times that looks like, I'd love to connect, right? You're asking people to connect with you. Or if you're in a job search, maybe you're going to say something like, if you know someone looking for these skills, please reach out, right? Something like that, but end with that call to action. And then lastly, I talked about the skills section briefly, but there's actually 4 places on your profile you can add skills, and 3 of them I think are really important for most of us. And the first place is here in the about section. You can add what are called your 5 top skills. And if you haven't done that already, definitely do that. Those skills are featured very prominently on your profile. And again, keywords, keywords, keywords. So make sure that you are adding those 5 skills. All right, and I have here, and the slides are going to be shared, correct? Because I know this is extremely small here, and this is just an example about section, and this one's for a PhD candidate, so I know that doesn't apply, of course, to everyone. But a couple of things that I hope from sharing this, and you can either take a picture of it now, or of course, look at the slides later. is you can get a sense of kind of structure, flow, right? You can see it starts with a couple of short paragraphs giving some history of the person, what they're doing now, maybe something a little bit about their past. And then it's giving this how I get results. You don't have to use that exact phrasing, but then it's got some bullet points. Again, key skills, key things that you have to offer. And then it's ending with that call to action. Let's connect. I'm happy to connect with professionals interested in, XYZ, whatever your interests in your career may be, something like that. So you can just kind of see a potential way. And again, using first person, trying for a conversational tone here. It does not sound like a resume. And so that's an example that you can look at. Now, the next big section, of course, is the experience, the work experience section. And one last formula for you today here, guys, the WHO formula. So with our experience, and this is also true of your resume, FYI, that recommendation is if you have more work experience, if that's your situation, you're going to include about 10 to 15 years. So if you have a longer career, you may potentially not include everything. There are some exceptions to that rule, but that's general rule of thumb. Really, those last 10 years is what most recruiters and hiring managers really care about. They really care about what's recent, probably the last 5, even more important. But what we want to do is we want to, of course, focus on what we accomplished. Again, our accomplishments, not our duties. So what we accomplished, and we want to, of course, use those keywords, but also use numbers as well. Now, not every single sentence or bullet point has to have a number in it, but several of them should. And so if you can't quantify the outcome or the accomplishment, think about quantifying the action that you did or what you did. So the formula, this WHO formula here, the W stands for what, H stands for how, and O stands for outcome. So what you did, how you did it, and what was the outcome. And ideally, quantifying the outcome is always an amazing thing to be able to do, right? Decreased errors by 10% or saved, 2 hours of working time, or save some money, whatever the case may be. But we can't, of course, always do that. So if you can't bring numbers in that way, again, think about quantifying what you did. How many people did you do it for? How many people were on the team? How many products were you working with? How many processes? How many SOPs? Whatever that, however you might be able to bring some numbers in. You definitely want to be working towards that. Okay. And another thing that, I don't have written down here, but I think is hopefully is implied, but I'll say it. For your work experience, I see so many people on LinkedIn that all they've put is their job title. They don't put anything for the description. You are selling yourself way short when you do that. So if that's your situation, make sure you go to your profile and get it completely filled out. Get those descriptions in there. And again, we're going to structure it a little different than our resume. I have an example entry here. This doesn't have any specifics in it, but just like a format. So I think it's good. Again, first person conversational. We're going to start off with a couple of sentences that give a high level overview of the role. Okay. So and you also can talk about how you got into the role if it's appropriate. So I was recruited into this role, or I was promoted into this role. I joined the company, right, to do XYZ, right, to lead this team, to work on this product, to whatever was the big picture. What were you there to do? And then significantly, I accomplished X. Right from the start, mention one of your biggest accomplishments. And then you could bring in some bullet points. These can actually come from your resume. It's one time we might do some copying and pasting from our resume. Significant accomplishments include, or key impact includes, and bring in some of those bullets from your resume. And you don't have to include all the information on your resume. You can, but you don't have to, right? So that's the work experience. Some additional things to think about that I didn't mention all of these yet, so I want to make sure that I mention. I did talk briefly about the photos. Of course, do make sure that you've got a professional profile picture and that customized cover photo. Customize your LinkedIn URL. So we all have a URL or a web address for our profiles. Let me see a show of hands. How many people have customized their URL? Okay, only a couple. All right. I'm going to go over to LinkedIn here in a little bit and I'll show you where to go to do that. But you can just Google that, right? How to customize my LinkedIn URL and you'll get the step-by-step instructions. It's super easy to do. You want to get rid of all the random string of characters that LinkedIn gives you when you sign up and makes a really long, clunky URL and make it your own, right? Make it be some version of your name and much shorter and easier to share. We want to make sure, again, we've got a complete skills section filled out. You can also put skills, I did not mention this before, in your work experience for each position that is on your profile. You can add skills there. I recommend doing that to highlight some of the key skills you used in that job. And of course, complete your education, any other relevant sections to you, right? Certifications, projects, awards, organizations, anything that is relevant to you, and make sure that you ask for those recommendations. Okay. So again, just a few key things about the profile. And now let's talk about connecting here with people. And first point I want to make here is, who do we want to connect with, right? And let me just ask you guys, who do you think, what are some of the types of people that we want to connect with on LinkedIn? Recruiters, yeah? Yeah, peers, people, yeah, people in the same industry, maybe same role.
People in a field that we're trying to get into.
People in the field we're trying to get into, absolutely. Any thoughts, ideas? Who's a good person? Yeah.
Suppliers and customers of the field.
Yeah, suppliers, customers, clients, vendors, absolutely. Yes, yes, all good things, right? And of course, any current or past coworkers, managers, right? The clients, vendors we might have interacted with. Of course, we want to connect with them. Any hiring managers, mentors, peers in your industry, you guys mentioned those, but also friends, family members, neighbors, right? People from all areas of your life. LinkedIn connections do not just need to be people you know professionally. Expand your network if you haven't already to include those people. You may not even know them that well. Maybe you've met them just a few times, but hey, I know this person lives down the street. Let me look them up on LinkedIn. You may have no idea where they work, right? They may work at a company that is really interesting to you. Maybe you go to an exercise class and you know some people there. Maybe you're in a running group or you do yoga. Maybe you go to a place of worship and you meet people there. You go to a group like this, right? Connect with all the people that you meet here. People from all areas of your life you want to make sure are part of that LinkedIn network. Okay? Now, those are people that we've at least met, right? That I was just talking about. Maybe we know them well, maybe we don't know them that well, but we also want to seek out people that maybe, of course, we don't know. So how do we find people that can be helpful to us potentially in our career or in our job search? And so there's a couple of things that I want to talk about here. And the first is to search employees on company pages of those companies that you would like to work for. And then secondly, searching for posts about career topics that are interesting to you so that you can find those people who are posting and possibly connect with them. And in the presentation, I have put the step-by-step instructions here. This is for finding people on the company page. And then I've got the step-by-step instructions here for posting, for finding posts that interest you. But let's see, hopefully technology is going to work for me. I'm going to see if I can switch over here to my LinkedIn profile because I want to demonstrate this. Okay. All right. And let me see if I can make that a little bigger. Okay, so I want to show you really, and I'm just, of course, going to do this pretty quickly. Again, make note of any questions that you might have, and I'm going to have to look over my shoulder to see the screen here. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to a company page, okay? And somebody give me a company name. Bigger companies helpful. I'm sorry? Fujifilm. All right. And I heard AstraZeneca too. All right. Fuji. Oh, not if I can type. Film. All right, here we go. There's Fujifilm. And I'm going to click on it, and we're going to go to their company page. All right, so here is the Fujifilm company page. And if I scroll down just a little bit, you're going to see these tabs. And we're going to go to the People tab here. Okay, and we've got almost 6,000 people associated with Fujifilm. And now we've got two ways to search the employees here. We can use the search bar here. We can put in a job title, any other keywords, a school, anything that we would want to search there. Or we also have these filters that we can use as well, where they live, where they studied. And I can use this little arrow to the right to see even more of those filters, okay? And so let's put in a couple of filters here. Let's see if North Carolina is coming up. Let's say I want, actually, let's do even more specific. Let's say here locally. So I'm going to click on add, and we're going to put in the Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill area. Now we're down to like 1,300 people, right? And then I could put in here, best, usually I'm looking for like a particular job title. So give me a job title. What would you want to search for at Fuji? Senior engineer. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Validation, you said?
Yeah, like that's something I just applied for.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's on my mind.
All right. Of course. All right. Okay. Let's put that in. Okay. We still got 120 people. So we got a bunch of people. And as I put these filters in, I can keep scrolling down. And here's my results. Okay. So these are people that, and these is, so wait, I clicked on that person. I didn't mean to do that. Clicked on Andy. But these are people who, now these are people who are associated with Fujifilm. So they may currently work there, or they may have worked there in the past, just so you know. But Fujifilm is on their profile. And, you know, we can see they've got that senior engineer in their title. We're getting different kinds of engineers here, but you can play around with these filters, try different things, again, putting in the search bar as well as combining them with those filters, and find people that you could connect with. And if you are interested in a particular company, I really encourage you to get connected with people at that company. And it doesn't have to be the hiring manager or the recruiter. A lot of times it's easier to connect with potential coworkers or people adjacent to the area that you want to work in, right? Recruiters and hiring managers are slammed, especially recruiters, right? Everyone wants to get to them. So a lot of times I try and connect with them and I don't have any luck, right? But if I find a potential coworker, again, or someone on a team that's adjacent to the team I want to work on, I can make that connection. Maybe I could talk to that person, right? Learn more about Fujifilm. So I hope that for those of you that are in a job search, you have a list of target companies, right? I recommend having a list of at least like 20 target companies that you would really love to work for. Make that list and then go out and search and get connected. One of the things that also that recruiters see when they look at candidates, they can see in the LinkedIn recruiter platform, they see very easily if you are connected with anyone at the company. So really important from that standpoint to do that as well, okay? Now, the other thing that I mentioned was searching for posts or people, you know, that people are making. And so what we're going to do there is I'm going to come up again to the search bar, and let me just I'm going to put something really broad here. We'll get lots. I'm just going to put biotech, right? But you could put anything specific to your work, your industry. I'm going to put that in the search bar, hit enter. And then I've got my filters. Every time you do a search on LinkedIn, you've got the filters going across the top. And so I want posts. I'm going to filter on posts. I can filter by date posted, usually really good. Like, let's just look at really recent, past 24 hours, right? Show results. I can also filter by the company that the company the person works for. And so if I only want to see posts from a certain company, but I can look through, and you are going to see posts about hiring, right? You also, though, hopefully will find some posts about, what's going on in this topic. And if you find some interesting posts, maybe you can start following that person, right? You can follow anyone on LinkedIn. You don't have to connect with them first, but follow them, see their content. I'm going to talk in a minute about having some presence on LinkedIn. And a big part of that presence I'm going to mention is commenting on posts that are out there. And it's really easy to comment on posts if you're actually seeing things you care about. If I look at my LinkedIn feed and it's like boring, or nothing's relevant, right? Really hard to comment on that. But if you can find some people who are posting good content, makes it a whole lot easier to engage. So doing these search. Now you can also put in things like, I'm hiring, right? If you want to look for specifically people posting about hiring, right? A lot of times people will post about that, and you might not have seen the job posting, right? Or the recruiter doesn't post it. Maybe someone like, oh, our team is adding a new person, right? And they, so they put that out on LinkedIn. So great way to search for that as well, right? And while I am here, before I get out of LinkedIn, I just want to quickly, I mentioned customizing that URL. So let me just show you really quickly how to do that. If you go to your profile, over on the right-hand side, it says public profile and URL. And I'm going to click that little pencil, the edit button, and it's going to take me to this edit your public profile page. Top right-hand corner, again, edit your custom URL. This is where you go. You're going to hit that edit button, and you're going to get rid of that long string of characters and make it something with your name that is much shorter. Okay, so that's where you find that. Okay, so let me see if I can get back to where I want to be. The PowerPoint. 1 second. Is that here? Okay, so the last thing that I want to say about connecting, just a couple of tips. After your profile is complete, do make sure that you're building your network, right? Start by connecting with those people you know from all areas of your life and branch out from there, right? Build that network out. When you invite people to connect, as much as possible, do personalize those invites. Now, with the free LinkedIn account, you can only do that 5 times a month. So you need to be strategic about that. With the premium account, you can personalize every invite. Also, I encourage you, once you are connected, send a note. There's no restrictions, even with the free account. Once you're connected, you can message people freely on LinkedIn. Send them a quick note, whether you initiated the invite or they did, right? Treat these LinkedIn interactions like you would actually meeting someone or seeing someone you know in real life, right? You would have a little bit of a conversation. It doesn't have to be anything long, but send a little note. And as I mentioned, quickly create that target company list. Connect with employees from the company. Also, make sure you follow that company, and make sure on the company page, you can go to the jobs tab, and there's a button for a lot of companies that says, I'm interested. And it says, I'm interested in working here. Click that button if you are interested in working for that company. All of these things are things that recruiters on that LinkedIn recruiter platform see and will be highlighted to them. And most of them are really easy clicks to do. So make sure that you're doing those things, right? And of course, as you are reaching out to people, especially people you don't know, reach out for that information, for that advice, not to ask for a job. And when you do reach out, you don't always have to reach out and ask for a meeting, because sometimes even a 15-minute meeting can just seem like a lot to people. Maybe you just say, can I email you a couple of questions or a question, right? And go from that standpoint. And you send them one question and you thank them very much. And then if they gave you some advice, you go take that and then you follow up and say, hey, I did it and this is what happened. And then maybe you ask them another question, right? So you can have exchanges that way too. And especially if that feels more comfortable to you, perhaps, then go that route. But because even that is better than no connection at all. Now, I mentioned that I was going to talk a little bit about presence here. And so a couple of things that I want to say as we get to this last section of the presentation. Commenting and posting, to actually utilize the power of LinkedIn, to have a presence on LinkedIn. The power of LinkedIn really comes from commenting and posting. Why should you do this? A couple of important things. It definitely boosts your visibility on LinkedIn. It has a direct effect. And if you look at my profile, you will see I actually have not been so good about this lately myself. So in the past, though, I have been, and I have seen where when I do it, like when you look at how many people are viewing your profile, it directly goes up. And it gives you an opportunity also to interact with people who you may not know, right? So, and you can show people how you add value. You can build, what we often refer to as that brand or that personal brand by sharing that information. And of course, you can interact with those people possibly before you ask them to connect or you ask them to help you with some information, right? If they are active on LinkedIn and posting, it's a great way to interact with someone before you reach out to them. And it helps actually create real connection. I mean, you can actually talk to people on LinkedIn, right? Again, like you might if you were at an event like this, right? Where you're going to talk to people. Okay. So a couple of tips about sharing, about posting and commenting. I encourage you to comment every day or maybe every weekday. Doesn't have to take a lot of time. Like you can even set a timer, right? Because you don't want to get sucked into the social media scroll, right? Maybe I set a timer for 15 minutes and I say, okay, I've got 15 minutes. I'm going to go and I'm going to put 2 comments on LinkedIn, or maybe it's just 1. That's okay. 1 is better than 0. But do this every day. Put a reminder on your calendar. Set aside some time on your calendar that you're going to go, you're going to find some good content and you're going to make a thoughtful comment, not just, hey, great post. Thanks for sharing. This is not the comments we want to make. We want to actually add to the conversation with our comments. And if you do put your foot into the realm of posting 1 to 2 times a week, LinkedIn is not a platform where you have to post every day. Even once a week is great. And you can maybe start by sharing other people's posts. It doesn't have to be creating your own content. Share an article that you found, or again, share somebody else's post that you thought was really interesting and start there. Try and create conversation. LinkedIn values conversation. LinkedIn actually also values authentic commenting and authentic posting. There's been some recent things that have just come out. They are highly penalizing posts that they know are written by AI. So use AI to help you. I'm a user of AI to help, but I encourage you, anything you write, at least write it yourself first. Maybe use AI to help refine it a little bit, and make sure it doesn't sound like AI speak, right? That's the thing. You don't want to sound like everybody else out there these days, right? So be careful about that. The first hour of the post does count more. If you get, and it's about getting interaction. The more interaction you get, which is why we want to create conversation, the more interaction you get, the quicker you get it, the more LinkedIn is going to share your post, the more people that are going to see it. And when people do comment on your post, and hopefully they do, comment back to them. Don't ghost them. When you comment back, to them. Again, you are conversing with them, which is wonderful, but also it helps LinkedIn know that there's more interaction with this post. And again, it can be shared. And I'm going to take questions at the end. Yeah. So you hold on to that. Yeah. And, you know, again, go from the mindset, both with your comments and posts, that you're trying to help people, right? You're trying to show what you care about professionally. You're trying to add value. So you don't have to go into it thinking like, oh, this is just about me and I need people to help me. I need a job, right? It helps to think about, hey, I'm just trying to help people in my network. Keep that mindset if that helps you. Okay. So to sum up, and then I'd love to take your questions. Step one with our profile, we're going to make sure that we know our target audience and know that value that we add. We're going to highlight our accomplishments in all of those key sections on our profile. And we're going to make sure that those sections are really complete. When we connect, right, make sure you're trying to find those people, reaching out to people at those target companies. Use that company page to search for potential connections and search for who's posting interesting content that will spice your LinkedIn feed up and give you things to comment on. And as you reach out to people to connect, personalize those invitations, send a note after you are connected. And for the presence, right, we're going to show what we care about professionally. We're going to add value to that network. We're going to create that conversation to drive that visibility. I encourage you to comment every day, post about 1 to 2 times a week, right? And I also have included here, I mentioned AI. There is a place for AI tools to, of course, help you with your profile, to help you with posting or commenting. And used in the right way, I think it can definitely be helpful. Use it, of course, as an assistant, and make sure that it doesn't just sound like everything it's written for everybody else, right? So I've put a couple of potential prompts in here that you guys can take a look at, again, when you see the presentation, right? Make sure that you're giving the AI tool a lot of context, give it a role, give it some job postings of the kind of roles that you want to get, right? But it can help you write with the about section, with your headline. We're going to always edit it, make it sure it sounds like your voice and that it's authentic and that it's accurate, right? And then there's kind of a series of prompts that I put here that you can potentially use to help write a post or to help you with a post, maybe even just help you brainstorm a topic for a post, because sometimes we're like, what could I even post about, right? And AI can be a great brainstorming tool for that. So, you know, what are some topics, right? And then what's, can we help me write that post, right? And write a hook for it. Those types of things that can help us. And then just lastly, I do want to mention really, really quickly a couple of free Wake Tech resources. If you are currently unemployed, currently underemployed, or have received notice of a layoff, there are many what we call CPD, which stands for Career and Professional Development classes through Wake Tech. I teach 2 of them. There are many, many others, though, that are amazing. I teach a class on LinkedIn, so if you want the 3.5-hour version of this, would love to see you. I'm going to be doing that on September 10th. Both of these are virtual. They're through Teams. And then I do a class called Beat the Applicant Tracking System, Get Your Resume Noticed. Huge part of that class is how to get the right keywords on your resume, which of course we need those keywords on our LinkedIn profile too. So there's overlap between those classes. Wake Tech also offers drop-in labs that are free. Again, these are staffed by Wake Tech career coaches. They are truly walk-in. You don't have to register ahead of time. They're at most of the Wake Tech campuses around Wake County. And so you can, that QR code or the link is at the bottom of the slide. You can find all the days and times and locations. And so if you need help with a resume, with LinkedIn profile, with networking, anything with job search, you can go and talk to the career coach there. Great, and that's all I have to share. Again, would love to hear your questions.
Thank you. And just a reminder, we do ask that you speak into the microphone so people online can.
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. There's been lots of different things out there about that. I think the most recent thing that I have read is typically in the morning of whatever time zone your majority of your audience is in, right? So if most of your connections are here on the East Coast or Eastern time zone, sometime, maybe 7 to 10 a.m. And typically during the week is best. Probably not Friday though. I'd probably say Monday to Thursday. Yeah. Good question. Oh, yes. Oh, I apologize. Yeah, I got too far that way. Yes. Mhm.
I was asking, is there any benefit to getting the premium on LinkedIn?
Yeah, great question. And it used to be, I've been talking about LinkedIn for many years now, and it used to be that I would say, no, you can do everything with the free account. Over the last couple of years, I've changed that a little bit though, and I think there are some distinct advantages to having premium. And mostly though, from the standpoint of reaching out to people, you can, as I mentioned, you can customize every invitation that you send. So you can add a personal note to every invitation to connect. You get 5 what are called in-mails a month, which means you can message people you're not connected to with those in-mails, and those in-mails can actually be much longer than an invitation to connect, which is another advantage. You get some additional information about companies and on job postings that you're looking at. How does it match up with your profile, insights into the company? So you get that. You get access to LinkedIn Learning, and some other things. So what I tell people is, if it's in your budget, if you think you could do it, I recommend trying the free month and seeing what you think. And does it for you personally, does it actually help? But make sure you pick that month strategically. If you're just really working on your profile, don't do it yet, because most of those benefits, again, come a little later. Yeah, good question.
So with key skills and abbreviations and the full word of that, and then resumes and everything getting filtered through AI, how do you recommend navigating, kind of getting past some of that without making everything too big?
Yeah. So as far as, so you're talking about where we've got acronyms?
Yes.
Yeah. So in most cases, I say if you've got acronyms, I recommend at least once on your resume, and I'd say the same for your LinkedIn profile, write out the acronym, and put the acronym probably in parentheses next to it, right? And then after that once, I could probably, if you use it again, I could probably just use the acronym. But at least once I would write it out. And then also in the skills list on LinkedIn, you can search for both and see if both are in there in LinkedIn, if they both pop up. I would probably put both on my profile. So then again, no matter what they're searching for, it's going to be there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's an online question? Mm-hmm.
Yes, we do have a few online questions. The first one, how do you get your network to refer you? Mine just says they do not know of any jobs.
Okay. So I think if somebody says they don't know of any jobs, I would look for somebody else, right? Go search that company. As we talked about, search that company page, see if you can find a few other people to reach out. So if that first person wasn't able to help you, move on to the second or maybe even third person, see if you can connect with someone else. And again, as you connect with people, especially if you don't know them that well, at first, just really focus on asking for advice, asking for information versus just asking for that referral right away or that job right away. So think about that too. But if someone can't help you, maybe they honestly, they can't, move on, see if you can find someone else. Biggest thing there.
Is there such a thing as over networking or over reaching out to people in the company? Like, for example, if with LinkedIn, I'm able to, if I know a role, right, and with people I know, I can let's say if I figure out who the hiring manager is, if let's say a recruiter posts about it, right? Let's say I contact both of them. Let's say I also research and see other people that are in the same organization. And let's say if I like reach out to like all of these people, right? Like, is there any reality where they all talk to each other and say, oh yeah, this guy reached out to me, and me, like what's what's wrong, right? Or something, even if it is like just asking for, like, obviously the hiring manager and the recruiter would be like, hey, I've applied or I'm interested and here's my details. But like for others, it just be like, oh, I want more information. Is like, can you overdo it is my question, I guess.
Yeah, again, good question. I think there probably is a point. I don't know if I can say like an exact, there's not like a number that I could say. You can kind of, use your intuition there a little bit. I think, and kind of as you mentioned, like the recruiting and the hiring manager, that's a little different, right? Like we reach out to them, and I think the way you said it was perfect. Like, hey, just wanted to let you know I applied to this job. I'm really interested, right? Here's my information. And for other people, different approach. I think when I do this, I would assume they might talk to each other, right? I would assume that could happen. So just be mindful of that in your communications. But I think if it's just, a few people, I don't think you're going to be going overboard. Yeah.
5 or something like 3 to 5, like.
Yeah, I think probably maybe 3, 4 might be good. Yeah. And then again, if like one person doesn't, I would probably wait. I would probably like maybe hiring manager, recruiter, somebody else. And then like, if I'm not hearing back, then maybe I move on to a fourth person. If I don't hear back, maybe then but I probably would wait a little bit. I wouldn't like blanket a bunch of, yeah, probably wait and then move on if I don't hear. Yeah. Yeah.
How long?
Oh, I think a week is plenty. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would think that's probably pretty common with recruiters. Yeah, they are so inundated right now. They just have no time to reach back out. So I'd be happy that they connected. I'd be happy they at least did that. Yeah. Yeah.
And we have time for 1 or 2 more questions.
Okay.
Just a quick one, I know you said for, like the experience section on your or on the LinkedIn, profile, you said to like quantify like what you did. What if you don't really feel like you have anything that you can quantify? Cause I'd like, personal example here, I work at a restaurant right now. I'm trying to get into the scientific field. All I did was school. I don't have like a entry-level job into the science field. That's what I'm trying to do right now.
Sure. Well, yeah. Well, but you're working, so you have worked at a restaurant, or you are?
I'm currently working one, yes.
Sure. Yeah. So how many customers are you helping? How busy is it? Right.
Okay.
That's like the first number I would think about when it comes to a restaurant. What kind of accuracy, if you're handling money, is there 100% accuracy? Those kinds of things, quality metrics, right?
Okay.
Customer satisfaction metrics, anything like repeat customers, anything like that.
Okay. And that would help me go into science?
It's going to help. And when you talk about those unrelated jobs, right? So like, just focus on those transferable skills, because there's a ton of transferable skills in retail, restaurants, customer service, right? So focus on those, your communication, your time management, your customer service skills, your attention to detail. Those are skills you need in your science career, right? So focus on that, but you can bring those numbers in still.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So do we have one online questions?
We
Just-
do.
I'll take one more and because Gail will have a few minutes afterwards on site. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So our next online question, this person said, when I add people on LinkedIn, I don't really know, but maybe we graduated from the same school or have a similar company in our background. They said it doesn't materialize into anything. How can I best get folks to want to connect with me?
So they're asking people to connect, but they're not actually connecting to them.
Correct.
The best thing I think you can do, and this person may already be doing this, but is that customizing the invitation. Make sure you're sending that note, right? And especially if you don't know the person really well, right? Oh, hey, I saw that you went to UNC, go Heels, right? Love to connect with you. Something like that, right? So make that parallel. Or I see that you used to work at Fujifilm, right? So did I back several years ago. Love to connect with people that used to work there. Like put that connection, try and draw that line for them in that note that you're sending. would be my suggestion.
All
All
right.
right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, well,
We are at
You're welcome,
time.
yes. And please feel free, again, to connect with me on LinkedIn if you would like to, and be happy to connect with anyone there. Thank you guys so much, and thank you for all your attention and questions, and thank the online folks too for being there.
Yes, thank you everyone for being here. If you are on site, Gail will be here for a few minutes, and feel free to network with each other and enjoy refreshments until 2:30. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. Oh, that's a hard one. Okay. Let's see. I just wanna make sure there I go. I can click down here. Just wanted to log out.
All right, thank you so much.
Oh,
It was
thank
really-
you.
appreciate
It's
it.
always great to be here. Thank you so much.
This is great.
Thank you. Yeah, come on down. Hello. Hi. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
Working.